Welcome everyone to this video. My name
Yeah,
is Brandon, and this is my best friend Keith.
that's me.
So what separates this whole playoff prediction video is this. If you go to places like the Teardown, Jordan and Jeff are going to give you really good insight. But for this, I have brought my friend Keith on, who is could not be more clueless. I feel like half
Yes.
these names you do not even know what they look like. Uh,
Oh yeah. What they look like? Oh my gosh. Of course not. I have no idea. I assume that what William Byron is actually like a cow in a man suit or something
I think
driving
every
a
year we've
car.
done this, William Byron always sticks out to you.
He
Either you
does.
choose him for the championship, you choose him for last place, or
He's been
you.
chosen in this one as well.
um, yeah. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to use my vast knowledge and obsession with NASCAR to do the best prediction I can, whereas Keith is just blindly going to just start throwing accusations around. Um,
What I do best.
sometimes can be good. Keith, I don't know if you saw this floating around the internet, but last week someone went and laid down $13 on a bet, and he just chose like the four of the last place guys, usually with smaller teams,
Mm.
and he bet that they could finish in the top 10, which isn't crazy at like a race like Daytona, but it's not a guarantee. So this guy did a four-way parlay. He turned $13 into almost $1 million.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Like what? Oh, some people just have it easy, man.
it
Some
made
people
me
just have it easy.
it made me really upset because I feel like as I read that, I looked over and saw like $13 and thought that could have been a million. But
Yeah. If only I would have turned this into $1 million.
that's the thing about gambling. If you don't put it all on the line, you can't win it all.
That's
It's
right.
saying, isn't it?
Kids, are you listening? Listen to Uncle Brandon tell you about gambling.
So anyway, we're gonna go through five different questions, and we'll dive into this. The first question I'm gonna have, Keith, is who's gonna finish last? Because that's the thing is every year you got someone that makes wins. You got
Right.
your final four, but you always have someone who is that last place guy. And for this year, I think it's gonna be Chase Briscoe. I think that he won earlier in the year, but I think the performance has just kind of slipped through. I think in the future he'll make pretty deep runs, but I think for this year, I think he's going to finish last again.
Okay. Excellent. I did not choose Chase Briscoe. I chose Austin Dillon, who I believe is currently in last place.
Uh huh.
The reason why is that I've never met a Dillon I can trust. And I can't trust this Dillon with climbing any farther up the ladder. So that's all I got. Hey, for future questioning though, do run me through again this season.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the Super Bowl and the Daytona, and Daytona being the Super Bowl, or
Yes.
the Super Bowl being the Daytona of football.
Yes.
Right. We've talked about that before. So, uh, we are now drawing to the close of the season, obviously with the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
correct? At
Yes.
what point does the season draw to a close?
It'll be I believe it's the first week in November this year. It's usually
Okay.
like the second week or so, but they kind of
Perfect.
condensed the
I just
season.
I wanted to make sure my future answer for the end makes sense, and if not, I was going to be mulling it over in my head as I answered other questions. So I'm good. I'm good to go.
Next up, spoilers. Seems like every year there's always someone outside of the playoffs that's able to sneak in a win, kind of throw a little chaos into the playoffs. Um, Keith, my heart wanted to go with Corey LaJoy, but I don't know if he'll be able to pull off a win in the next 10 races.
Okay.
However, I think a safe bet would be either Christopher Buescher or Michael McDowell. I think both of them have been challenging for wins. Both of them almost made it into the playoffs. Um, I think the thing about him too is I could see him winning at the Roval, Talladega, but even just like a random track like a Martinsville, I could see him
Hmm.
winning. So I'm going to go with a dual choice of McDowell or Busher.
Okay. Excellent. I'm going with my man Cole Custer. Gonna spoil things because you said a few things. You said causing chaos,
Uh-huh.
sneaking around, doing things, and to me, again, I have to base a lot of this off of the names. I don't want to go in and like give the hunky guy a leg up or somebody who looks gristled or whatever. I'm so sorry that Mia's being loud. Mia, quit. Be
Mia
gone.
is your English bulldog.
She is, yes. It's not a human being I'm smacking on I'm smacking down here on the floor. Um Cole Custer, because that's a cowboy name. That sounds like a cowboy name to me. And there's one thing cowboys are good at is throwing a monkey wrench into some plans. It's getting in there and it's firing off the old NASCAR 6 shooter. In this case, I don't know how many cylinders those engines have, but whatever it is, and it's going to cause some chaos, going to shake things up, and old Cole Custer's going to yeehaw up in there, just the way you said it could happen.
It's a quality choice, Keith. I think
Thank you.
the so far, I think the Dylan one, a lot of people have him falling out in round one.
Hmm.
I think with the Custer one, that's a little less of a popular opinion. But
Okay.
um,
Excellent.
now we move on to the final four. We're going to whittle down the 16 drivers to four drivers. I've got my final four: Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, and Joey Logano.
Okay. Excellent. Who? Why do you have any reasoning? Please tell me.
Well, Chase Elliott's just been dominant all year. I don't think that you just go from dominant to not making into uh, the final four. Having with Harvick a few years ago, he won, I believe it was 8 races, and then like missed it by a couple of points. But I don't think Chase will have that. I think he's just been. It, the thing about Chase is it's not like he has all of the wins, but he's just solidly up there. So it's not
Hmm.
a thing where if he doesn't win, he's not up there. Kyle Larson, he's the defending champion. Same way, doesn't have the wins, always up there. Joey, I think Joey has just kind of become this generation's version of Jimmy Johnson, where he just knows how to make it through the playoffs. He seems like he's always there. Ross Chastain, so a little bit of insight to him, Keith. All throughout this year, Ross Chastain has been being a little aggressive on the track. So right
Mm.
now, he's got probably about 10 people at least that want to pay him back and wreck
Uh,
him. Um, but I think he's going to make it through. I think that there's a lot of people that uh, they don't hold on to their revenge plans, and all these
sure.
people are still in the playoffs. So I think unless you have like Denny Hamlin like taken out in the first round, he doesn't want to ruin his chances by Ross then coming back and wrecking him or taking his car out. So I think that Ross will make it to the final four.
Okay. Those sound like very good reasons. I wish I could agree on all those.
Well, they passed the
Um,
test with you.
yeah, I'm sure your audience as well is glad. I'm sure they're biting their nails. So, Kevin Harvick is a name that I recognize on the list. I threw him up there. I feel like he might do some climbing. Joey Logano, also, I do know that he is a name I always hear when we do
Yeah.
these videos. So I would say that if you could mentally jump, we have the same reasoning behind why he's there.
Of
Also,
course.
I had to choose the old wildebeest buffalo himself, William Byron, who's gonna climb up and be in the top four. And then finally, I too said that Mr. Chase Elliott will remain in the top four because in the time that I spend on TikTok every now and again,
Mhm.
I sometimes come across this very, very strange looking gentleman that very quietly but excitedly celebrates when Chase Elliott wins. And I've seen several of those videos. So I'm guessing that Chase Elliott does a good job, as you have said.
Keith, I think Chase was a good choice. I think that Joey was there. William Byron, I don't think he's as popular, but I've seen him sneak up on a couple people's lists, as well as Harvick's the same way. A couple of weeks ago,
Mm.
people were wondering if Harvick would be the championship favorite. I don't agree with that sentiment, but it is out there.
Hey,
Um, so maybe these people are just contacting you. Maybe like Bob Hawkins is just
they're feeding me
contacting
information.
you. Yeah.
He's actually in my ear in the earpiece right now.
Yeah.
He's talking me through this.
Um, champion for the year. Out of these four drivers, one of them's going to take home the championship at the end of the Phoenix race. I'm going with Chase Elliott. I think he's going to be old two-time Clyde. I think he's going to take
Two-time Clyde.
take home the championship and drive that Napa car on into victory lane.
I'm going to repeat everything you just said, my friend. I also believe Mr. Chase Elliott will take it home.
Uh-huh.
Didn't know he's going for the two-time Clyde.
Uh-huh. That's
Which
actually
every
his first name is actually Clyde and not Chase.
that makes
Do you
sense.
think it's a good choice to go with Chase instead of Clyde, or do you think that he could maybe branch out a little more if he was old Clyde Elliott?
Wait, you're saying he really is? His
Yeah,
name's
his
really
first
Clyde?
name's Clyde.
Oh, that's why I was about to say, like, why are you making up two-time Clyde as a phrase? Here, here comes old two-time Clyde. No, I think Chase is better. Chase, that's what the whole thing is called.
Yeah.
The chase. Like, how else can you? What else could you be called? But really, it's less of a I know this is going to happen and more of a and I desire this to happen, because if the videos that I saw by that one guy are as cringy and hard to watch as they are now, I
Uh-huh.
can't imagine if he were to take home the championship, how much ice cold Diet Pepsi he'll pour on his head in his own shower.
You know, Keith, that was also a thing when you sent me the video.
Yes.
I believe if you remember correctly, I
I,
pointed out that he, used to drive for Mountain Dew. So if you're gonna be a Chase Elliott fan and celebrate, you got to get some Mountain Dew. But now he drives for A Shock, and if you're someone out there, I understand that you might not can afford some of the fancier things out there, or you might not even enjoy a drink. But when you love a driver, you got to grab that drink. If you love Dale Jr. right now, you got to at least carry around a Sun Drop. If you love Brandon Brown, you got to grab a Zero FG energy drink. That's just how it goes. I can't sit here right now as a Brandon Brown fan and be chugging back some Red Bulls.
he can't do it. You can't do it
Legally, I cannot.
legally. Bound. My wife is a lawyer. She knows. She drew up the contract.
She told
She
me as soon as she saw that I had liked Brandon
she,
Brown's page, she was like, Brandon?
she said, "Brandon, you're stuck.
Yeah.
I'm glad you like energy drinks because you're stuck drinking
The
these."
only loophole is I can wear a Sundrop shirt because it's not an energy drink, but plus it's Dell Jr. So legally, if you do something because of Dell Jr., you cannot go to prison.
Yeah, that's federal law. Actually, that's actually federal law.
International law.
Yeah, that's world law. The UN
It
the
is
UN
worldwide.
recognizes the UN recognizes Dale Jr. and his pull.
So funny, you'd enjoy this, Keith. Actually, Chris Buescher, Dell Jr. mistakenly called him Christopher Buescher, and so now on his car they have put Christopher Buescher on there because it's just if Dell Jr. says it, it is willed into the universe.
That's right.
Um, so now finally, Keith, a storyline at the end of these 10 races. What are we either going to be? What do we see? What are people talking about? And I think going back to my Final Four predictions, I think the storyline is going to be that Ross makes it through the playoffs. I think that a lot of these people, like I said, they're not either the payback's not going to happen, people are not going to care. Last year, Kevin Harvick tried to take out Chase Elliott, and the next couple of laps, Harvick was in a tire barrier. Chase Elliott went on to the Final Four. So I just think that a lot of people, it's going to be an all talk type of thing. I think that a lot of for Ross, it's kind of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if Ross is out there taking out people that you're competing with, are you really that pissed off?
No.
So I think that's the storyline. I think Ross is going to make it to the Final Four. If not the Final Four, I think that he makes it at least to the round of eight. So I think a lot of people are already saying, nope, he's going to be taken out in the first race. But I don't think that's the case.
Okay. Brandon, this is always my favorite part to weave you a tale about what
Uh-huh.
we're gonna see. So my tale starts in a different sport this year for this particular championship. Tom Brady at the beginning of the season is going to be revealed to truly be a cheater. They're going to uncover some documents. It's going to be a Watergate type situation. Tom Brady is unequivocally a cheater. Mr. Football himself is going to he's gonna besmirch the name of the sport. Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to erode people's faith in humanity. And all kinds of other stuff is going to go down, and just football is going to perform poorly as these big leaders are going to finally either have had enough of the despair of the last couple of years, or just be revealed to be the actual bad people that we assume they
Yeah.
are. And because of that, by the championship race, there will be 30 times as many NASCAR fans. People will be looking for a sport they can rely on, a sport that they can watch, a sport that they know has just down home, salt of the earth, good fellers and ladies
Uh-huh.
taking care of them. And their NASCAR will become the new football. And then 5 years from now, people will be saying everywhere that the Super Bowl is the Daytona of football.
So we're
That's
just
all going to
looking at
start
like
this year.
30 million people tuning into
Yes,
the playoff.
that's right. It's going to be live streamed on every service.
Huh.
It's going to be big. You
Now,
just sit and wait.
if you could go, what's the saying? Empires rise and fall. Uh, if you could look into your crystal ball, so you're
Mhm.
saying that NFL is about to fall. If you could look in your crystal ball, NASCAR, when are they going to finally be caught up in lies and see as a fraud? How long into the future is that? And do you have any idea of what that conspiracy is going to be?
Well, we will have to estimate Dale Jr.'s lifespan. I believe that there is an untouchable, unseeable spirit about him
Uh-huh.
that continues breathing life and goodness into this sport. And if he is able to procreate, or I assume he has kids
Mm-hmm.
probably. If they, however long the Earnhardt name
Uh-huh.
can still shine upon the sport, evil cannot exist
Uh-huh.
for long within. Good will out as long as an Earnhardt is overseeing the sport. Once that stops, whatever time that is, it's anybody's game. Just like anything, foundations can crumble, and evil can seep in through the cracks.
Well, Keith, after those comments, I can safely say we started this video off by me thinking I'm really going to impress people with my knowledge, and Keith is going to get some laughs from people. But after that comment, I believe now it's shifted to where I'm just going to receive demands that, well, we need to see Keith take over this page because I feel like he's more on the pulse of NASCAR. He understands what's at stake here, while his brain is just daydreaming about Ross Chastain.
I always go too lofty with it because I don't have any power to make up an interesting story about actual
Uh,
NASCAR drivers. I don't have enough information, so I've got to take it to the foundation.
you know Earnhardt sells.
I do. That is true. If everywhere else sex sells,
Uh-huh.
on in NASCAR Earnhardt sells.
Well, Keith, thank you so much for these predictions. For you viewers at home, feel free to let us know in the comments your thoughts on it. Who do you think had the better predictions? Or if you want to join in you yourself, go through the questions. Let us know your picks for Final Four, for biggest story, or whatever. So who knows? If you get it right, you might get a hero card pack, or maybe you get a free lunch with Keith at the restaurant of your choice. I don't
Of
know.
my choice.
I don't know how this stuff works.
I certainly don't.
All right, Keith. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you later.
Absolutely.